Breaking news, Seahawks fans. The Seattle Seahawks have signed wide receiver slash kick returner Laviska Shenault Jr. I'm Tyler Smith, filling in for Tyler Jones. You know me as Smitty. TJ's out west on vacation right now, so I'm here bringing you this breaking Seattle Seahawks news about the new addition to this wide receiver and special teams room. And as far as the Seattle Seahawks signing goes, the news coming from Mike Garafolo, as per Laviska Shenault's agent, David Cantor, and it believes to be a one-year deal. Still waiting for full contract details on that. But this is a signing for Seattle that I particularly like because you think about Seattle's wide receiver room. You have DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett, you have JSN, you have Jake Bobo for that matter. You don't need a ton of pure wide receiver talent to really boost that room to, the upper echelon of the NFL because it's really already there. This is more a signing for Seattle's special teams group, as Shenault has really come along in his last two seasons in Carolina as a special teamer. In 2023, he averaged more than 27 and a half yards per return, and we're going to get into why that's significant in just a few minutes. But as far as the Seattle Seahawks signing goes, what is your one-word reaction to signing Laviska Shenault Jr.? I'm going to go with smart because obviously we're going to get into the new kickoff rules and how this affects the NFL and how this affects the Seattle Seahawks in a little bit. But overall, I think this is just a smart move by Seattle to kind of get ahead of the curve and bring a guy who really hasn't had a great opportunity so far in the NFL. And here's why. Listen, he was drafted out of the second round to Jacksonville in 2020, and that was where he had his best season as a rookie, over 600 yards, receiving 5 touchdowns. And we all kind of knew Laviska Shenault kind of popped onto the scene there in 2020 as this guy who nobody had really heard of. I know he was a second-round pick, but he was a guy who, kind of took the league by surprise as somebody who could create big plays both in the air and after the catch. Somebody who I thought could really make moves after receiving the football. Yards after catch was up there with some of the top in the NFL that season. And for the Seattle Seahawks, this is a guy who you bring into a special teams room now. You lose DJ Dallas, who's your primary kick return and punt returner last year, and D. Eskridge comes back. But he's a guy who kind of raises a bunch of question marks both off the field and in the locker room itself. D. Eskridge isn't a guy who I believe to be in Seattle's long-term plans. They did bring him back, but I'm not sure exactly how confident they are in D. Eskridge's ability to be the full-time kick and punt returner for this season. Obviously, JSN has some experience in that regard as well, but I'm not sure they want to really risk injury putting him in those situations. Laviska Shenault, a guy who is just a full gadget guy. Obviously, you saw more of his pure wide receiver talent in Jacksonville, but then in these past 2 seasons in Carolina, he failed to eclipse over 300 receiving yards, obviously becoming more of a special teams guy in Carolina. But now he gets a new shot in Seattle, and this is a guy who's got burner speed, a guy who can get down the field with quickness, kind of like DK Metcalf's speed, not exactly his size, but a guy who can make plays with the ball in his hands. And with these new NFL kickoff rules, I think he's really going to shine. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But before we do, I want to make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We're going to be breaking down all Seattle Seahawks free agency signings this NFL offseason. We have trade rumors. We are your go-to spot for NFL draft news regarding your Seattle Seahawks. I know we just talked about it yesterday with Michael Penix Jr., trade rumors as well with Tyler Lockett. But for your one-stop shop for all Seattle Seahawks offseason coverage, stay here at Seattle Seahawks Today. We're on the road to 52,000 subscribers, and we want you to join the 12s and be along this journey of the new regime here in Seattle. Mike Macdonald, Ryan Grubb, and obviously John Schneider sticking around at the helm. We want you guys locked in and be the most knowledgeable Seahawks fan out of all your buddies. So stick here and subscribe to the channel. Now, with these new NFL kickoff rules, they're incentivizing teams to return the ball more. Now, what I mean by that is we saw more kicks out of the end zone, more touchbacks than ever before in the 2023 season. So the NFL has decided to make a crackdown on that and try to get more kickoffs by changing it to these XFL rules, right? The kickoff team and the kickoff return team, as far as the blockers go, are lining up very close to each other. And the kicker all the way back there at the 35 is designed now to kick it short of the end zone and get a return going for the special teams receiving team. And Laviska Shenault, like I mentioned, 27.8 yards per return last season in Carolina is just going to boost the Seattle Seahawks special teams room to the next level. I'm very confident in him earning this job over Eskridge full time, and we've seen what he's been able to do as a returner in Carolina. It's been very successful. He hasn't gotten to the end zone, but listen, that Carolina team wasn't exactly getting to the end zone too much themselves last season. And as far as joining the Seattle Seahawks receiver room, obviously I mentioned Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jake Bobo, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's not going to really insert himself into the top 3 or 4 wide receivers. I expect Jake Bobo to probably have more snaps as a wideout than him. But for a guy who can plug and play, we've seen him make plays as a receiver in Jacksonville. It's been a few years since he's gotten that, but here's a new start for him in Seattle. We obviously talked about Tyler Lockett trade rumors yesterday. This could be his last year in Seattle. Could Tyler Lockett mentor Laviska Shenault into being his replacement for next season? Only time will tell, but I think there's a decent chance that all goes down. Now, Ryan Grubb's offense, we know it's going to be a pass-heavy kind of an air raid scheme like he ran up in Washington. So maybe a lot of receivers will be coming on and off the field for different situations, different gadgets. Maybe he runs Laviska Shenault in a lot of pre-snap motion, maybe a lot of end arounds, which we saw him have there in Jacksonville as well. So this is a guy who can really make plays with the ball in his hands. I'm very excited to see what Seattle can do with Laviska Shenault, and I'm very excited to see what Laviska Shenault can make the most of with this opportunity, because when I watched him his rookie year, I was like, wow, this guy is 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Like, he's going to be an emerging star in this league. But, that Jacksonville offense was brutal. Obviously, they brought in Urban Meyer in 2021, and that was a disaster from the start. He had a similar production yards-wise, but didn't get into the end zone because, again, that Jacksonville team was not getting to the end zone. So Laviska Shenault is a guy who really hasn't had success, been in a successful scheme yet in his NFL career. And here he goes into Seattle, where he joins an offensive coordinator who was just in the college football national championship. And that's a situation where there has been success, like maybe not at the NFL level, but here he goes. He was about to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama. And obviously we know how that went when he got offered the job by Seattle. And, as far as the signing goes, I'm just excited to see what he can do. I'm not super confident in Eskridge to take over the full-time kick returner role. I think Laviska Shenault's a better football player than Eskridge, and he finally gets an opportunity in a system that he can thrive in. And I'm very excited to see where it all goes. The Seahawks have one of the best wide receiver corps in the NFL, and if somebody goes down and gets injured, like potentially a Jake Bobo or a JSN, we know he's dealt with injury before, even DK Metcalf, I think Laviska Shenault can step in no problem. So with that said, I grade the signing for me, A, B, C, D, or F. I want you guys to let me know down in the comment section what you think of this signing, both in the wide receiver room and the special teams room as well. So comment that down below, A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the signing of the Seahawks grabbing Laviska Shenault here for a one-year deal. With that said, that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We are your one-stop shop for all Seahawks off-season coverage. Stick with us here. Tyler Jones will be back next week. So obviously this week we had a couple guys filling in, but obviously some videos he pre-recorded as well will be going out, and you'll get to see your TJ fix this week on Seahawks Today. So with that said, stick with us, join the channel, subscribe today, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.